Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Merrimack Valley Chamber Women in Business program. This is a very, very important program. This parallels and culminates the year's quarterly Women in Business lunch series. You'll hear some great speakers and talk about some issues that I think will affect every one of you and you can relate to. And we have a different speaker this year, something new that I think is a great idea. I'm interested to see what you think afterwards. But right now, let me introduce Michael Bevilacqua, the Chamber Vice President and Coordinator of the Chamber's Economic Development Programs. Thank you. Welcome, Michael.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce Annual Women in Business Conference. I'm not a woman in business, Joe's not a woman in business, but we'd like to welcome our woman in business, Mary Beth O'Reilly, who you met walking in.
Hey!
Who works hard at the Chamber office every day, so thank you to Mary Beth. I'm just here to say, first off, thank you to our sponsors of today's program. I'd like to welcome our title sponsor, TD Bank.
Thank you.
Our associate sponsors, LCW CPAs,
Thank you.
Lowell 5 Bank,
Thank you.
and the Merrimack Valley Chamberlain's Business Program,
Thank you.
and the Merrimack Valley Credit Union. And I also like to thank our friend sponsor, the Health Connector for Business. So thank you to all of our sponsors for today's program. Last thing I'm going to say before we start the program is that, as you know, the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce is the most active chamber of commerce, I think, in the world. We have over 100 programs each and every year. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the program now and reintroduce Joe Bevilacqua. Thank you.
First, thank you for coming. And it's such a beautiful day. It's sort of reminiscent of the types of programs we have for women. And I have to just recognize the person that allows me to do all these programs, my wife, Tony Ann. And the reason why is this Thursday? This Thursday, our 43rd wedding anniversary. Did I get it right? Thank you. I want to make sure. Let me introduce we'd like to introduce the elected officials that are here. The only one that I see here right now is the former mayor of the city of Lawrence, Kevin Sullivan. Welcome, Mayor. So one of the things the Chamber did is to create what I think is the best Women in Business program. What we try to do is we try to bring together opportunities for women that are starting their own business, women that are starting to expand their business, women that are thinking of moving on to another position. And what we do in addition is we have free business counseling, whether it be through MOBD or MSBDC, the Mass Office of Business Development, Mass Small Business Development Center, or the SBA. So every week we have free business counseling in English or Spanish for women who want to explore opportunities, expand their business or start a business or make a lateral move to another company and are concerned about the issues that they have to face. The Chamber also creates a Women in Business lunch series where each quarter we have a woman speaker who will talk about her challenges with respect to being in business or working in business for a company and raising family and how they juggle, family life and personal life and business. We have created at the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce a very diverse leadership of the Chamber of Commerce, and two of the members of our executive committee are, in fact, women business people, one of which is going to be your moderator. So please let me introduce Tricia Sabulis. She's with Michaud Insurance. She is the vice president, where she specializes in personal and commercial insurance. Besides being a leader in the agency, she's also a leader in the industry as a member of the Mass Association of Insurance Agents Board of Directors, working with other agents to bring awareness to the next generation about the insurance industry and its rewarding careers. She's very involved in the Merrimack Valley community and sits on multiple boards. Most importantly, I added that, the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce and the Professional Center for Child Development, where she is very, very active. And let me tell you, she has a young daughter, without a doubt, is going to be a leader in her own right. She has got the most amazing personality and is the boss of the family, I would say. She's received numerous awards for her community service and leadership and has been honored to receive the Merrimack Valley Magazine's Top 40 Under 40, a Lawrence YWCA Tribute to Women, the Chamber's Next Generation Leaders Award, and Women in Business Award. In her spare time, which I don't think is very much, she's surrounded by family with her husband Mike and daughters Hannah and Nola. Welcome, Trish Sabulis.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
Sorry,
Joe.
I'm sorry.
I'm just taking you down. I'm going to take over the microphone. I'm so pleased to be up here introducing these phenomenal women. So let's start right away. I'm so pleased to introduce Dana DeFranco. She's an owner of Battlegrounds Coffee Company here in downtown Haverhill, along with her husband Sal, and they've been the owner since 2016. Dana is a new mom and now balancing business ownership and motherhood, and we're so excited for both of them to be up here.
Hello. I asked Trish to keep it short and sweet because, well, we don't know how long we'll be able to stand up here. And so I wrote my speech on this pad of paper this morning around 3 when we were awake in the dark. So I've taken a little, some bullet points so I can pull from it. But it's been some time since I've spoke here at the Chamber during Women in Business. But since then, we've opened a few businesses and closed a few businesses. I managed a political campaign for my husband who ran for state senate. That was a learning experience, to say the least. It encompassed 7 cities and towns, but managing 3 businesses, becoming pregnant, and then running a campaign was a lot on our plate, but I wouldn't have changed it. The biggest change is obviously welcoming a new baby to our family. So I'd like you to all me to introduce you to Margot. She'll be available for questions after. So Margot's 4 months old. She surprised us all. She came very early, well, early for what I was thinking. So everyone kept saying, oh, you're first. Usually you'll go late. You get all the advice, or I don't know if you would consider it advice when you're pregnant, but a lot of people like to tell you things that have happened to them. And, usually you'll go late. And so she arrived 3 weeks early. So I would say we were somewhat prepared. I had her first day outfit prepared, and that was it. Sal and I didn't have bags packed, but that's just how it goes. It's kind of like running a business. Things just pop up, and you're not really prepared for them. But yeah, so she came early, and she's been a blessing. We're super, super thankful. My pregnancy was phenomenal. I loved every minute of it. Sometimes I felt bad saying it to other moms because maybe their pregnancy wasn't as easy as mine was. I think the worst thing I had to deal with was heartburn. And there's a wives' tale that says if you have heartburn, your baby's going to have a lot of hair. Needless to say, she did not disappoint. And she came out with all this much hair. But during my pregnancy, I would say that I didn't want to become overwhelmed with all this information on the internet. So I would take it step by step, starting, just so that, because the internet, it just leads you down this rabbit hole of becoming paranoid and, what am I going to do if or when this happens? And I think as a business owner, you want to try and prepare in every way possible, just like becoming pregnant and getting ready for birth. I mean, that's huge. And everyone kept asking me, what's your birth plan? And I'd research that, but I wanted it to be open and flexible, because how was I supposed to know what was going to happen? Or how was I supposed to know how I was going to feel, when she came and just figuring it all out. So I just kept saying it's going to be fluid, and this is what I would like to happen, but I'm going to figure out, if this doesn't pan out, what are my other options? Without, again, going too far involved and becoming, overwhelmed with it. So we had a plan. It really didn't go out as I had planned, right? I think that a lot of women I talk to say their birth plan didn't really happen the way they expected it to. But in 26 hours of labor, I learned a lot about myself. I think my husband learned a lot about me too. But we were happy and we were healthy, and everything worked out. But during that 26 hours, your emotions are going. You learn a lot about what you expected and then the reality of it. And again, it's like tying this all back into being a business owner is you have an idea of what your business will look like, but when reality sets in, it's maybe not the same. And then comes baby, and then comes healing, and not just physically, but emotionally. And you think you're prepared, and you're not. But it's all good. You make the best of it, just like, again, owning a business. And I keep bringing myself back to the fact, even now that when she's 4 months old, that, she's in the womb, there's a constant temperature, there's a nice hum in there, she's fed, right? She doesn't really have any complaints, and then she comes out and we expect her to lay flat on a bed and it's cold, and then she's hungry, and then there's noises and she's startled. And so there's a lot of trial and error, and it's kind of like learning through a fire hose, but the moms and dads here, you just figure it out. You have to. And again, it's like owning a business. And you quickly learn what works for you and what doesn't. And then comes advice, more advice, right? So you're walking in the grocery store, you get advice. Your family gives you advice. And some of it's solicited, and I appreciate it. And some of it's not, and I still appreciate it. But the best piece of advice I got was from my mom. And it was like well before we even thought about being pregnant. Just my mom and I are super close, and I love her to pieces. And she told me years and years and years ago, don't lose yourself, Dana. Don't lose yourself and I'm going to get emotional, but don't lose yourself in starting a family. Don't lose yourself in getting married, and don't lose yourself when you have kids. And I'm navigating on, now that I have a baby, what does that mean? How do I not lose myself? And how do I navigate life now as a mom? And you might be asking, how does this tie into owning a business? And my piece of advice, again, unsolicited, but I'm going to offer it, is don't lose yourself in business. And I can say that wholeheartedly, I completely lost myself in business when Sal and I opened Battleground 7 years ago. And it's taken me until the pandemic was kind of an eye-opener. No, it's okay to say no. It's okay to sell out of something. You don't have to run to the store in a panic or in a frenzy so that you have something. It's okay to say no, we're not open late anymore. We're not serving beer and wine, right? These are some changes we made. But now having a baby and starting a family, I've really drawn that line to say, my business can't consume me, and I can't lose myself to business any longer, because now I have a family who I have to think about, and I want to have that time to enjoy her and my husband and us as we travel down this new path. And I used to say, I can't be away from business, and what's it going to do without me? Well, guess what? It's survived, and it's thrived. And again, we've opened businesses, we've closed them, and really it's about setting boundaries for myself and our family. And I just wanted to share that with all of you. And I'm sure, a lot of you are mothers or fathers or aunts and uncles and realize just the importance of family, and just that balance between now business and family. So, maybe next time I'm invited back and, in a few years or whatnot to speak, I'll have some more insight about really what it is about now managing, having more than 4 months under my belt of managing this work-life balance. But, that's my advice. So thank you.
Only.
Okay.
So what is this?
In case she spits up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. So Dana is a newly elected member of the Chamber's Board of Directors. Give her a round of applause.
Oh, thank you.
And Dana, along with Where's Trish? Trish are the co-chairs of our Women in Business series, and I think Trish has something for one of you. Come see. Not for Dana. Tell it.
Here you go, Margot.
So Margot has her first business chamber certificate because she'll be a leader. She'll be a leader before you know it. And yours is on the. Want me to take that over?
No, it's okay.
And yours is on the table.
I've learned to triple task.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, by the way, Dana's husband, Sal, is co-chair of he's a former Navy SEAL, as you all know. And Dana and he have worked to help us develop our Veterans Assistance Program. And so she is multitasking with us as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Future Board of Director, no pressure, Margot. Next, I'm very pleased to introduce Catherine Craven. Catherine, and this is a lot, so everybody, I read this, I was like, oh my, how do you have time? Catherine is the Chief Operating Officer for Babson College. The school is internationally ranked #1 in entrepreneurship. Catherine is the current chair of the Massachusetts Board of Education, reappointed by Governor Healy this February 2023. She is the founding executive director of the Massachusetts School Building Authority. She is a board member for various organizations, some of which are University of Massachusetts Foundation, the Roxbury Latin School, and Quincy College, and she's the treasurer of the Adam Presidential Center. She is a mom of 5 children, ages 23 to 6, and she lives in Brookline. So thank you so much for being here today. I did it all right?
Thank you, Tricia. I'm a little bit vertically challenged over the thing here, so. But thank you for having me here today, Joe. And it's not my first time at the Merrimack Valley Chamber. For many years, some of you may remember me from prior roles, building Methuen High, renovating Haverhill High, the new Lawrence High School, of course, for your chairman of your board here, former Mayor Michael Sullivan, and his brother, former Mayor Kevin Sullivan, who have been really involved, obviously, for many years. Kevin and Michael have Babson College as a member of the Merrimack Valley Chamber. So anytime you want to access us or any of our programs, give us a ring, because we're also members here supporting what you do in the Merrimack Valley. Also, I think I've been here before to see Anna Sullivan, Kevin's beloved mother, who at 97 years of age was a powerhouse and a great mentor to me all these years. Trish has an insurance background, and Mrs. Sullivan raised 4 sons, all of whom went into the business of insurance and built T.A. Sullivan Insurance in Lawrence. And she's just an amazing, incredible mentor and was an honoree at one of these events many years ago. And we really enjoyed the adulation, well-deserved, of Anna Sullivan. She built that business from the ground up with her husband, Tom Sullivan. And it's amazing to see the decision-making. Dana talked a lot about decisions and choices and being an executive while you're trying to balance a family. And I think these are sort of universal themes for women in this room and outside this room. I'm glad to be here today to talk a little bit about networking, because I feel that this is one of the things that women tend to maybe overlook in their careers and don't do enough of. I know that most of us have taken time off or done things to take care of an aging or ailing parent, a child, a sister, a brother, a friend, or had children. You know, I've had 5 kids while doing these crazy jobs, right? Like, so as Dana brings baby Margot here to speak with her and for her by her presence, you know, we've all been in positions as women that you're juggling many things at once. And sometimes the thing that you don't remember to do is to sort of reach out to that person you met at that breakfast, or reach out to the colleague who might have a friend that's doing something you're interested in. And that's a really powerful and important way to keep your name out there, not only in addition to your own career bona fides and what you bring. But a lot of times, Kevin works at Babson College with me now as well. We'll look and say, who do we know that could do a certain job or sit on a certain board or do something like that? And ostensibly, you go through LinkedIn and you look through someone's Rolodex, but it always helps to have the personal touch. And I think breakfast, lunches, and dinners like this are really important, especially for women who may not have gotten as much exposure to those things on a golf course. I'm not being sexist. I know there are plenty of great women golfers. I don't happen to be one of them and never will be. So I don't have that time to stand around with 8 people for 8 hours, 4 people in a cart and bond over something shared like that. And I think these are sort of good opportunities to replicate that experience and find ways on your own. The other thing at Babson that I've learned is that being an executive, as Dana mentions, being an executive in a new business or 7-year-old business, and every year during the pandemic must have been like a dog year, Dana, right? And nonprofit leaders, like what Claudia's doing, is decision-making and executive function, because when you make a decision, by definition, you're excluding other choices, right? And one of the things we talk about at Babson that we teach leadership is that having that shared experience with your team and having that ability to make choices and decisions and rise or fail, and that's what we teach at Babson. And I think that's a really important thing for women in this room. You've all learned it yourselves, but teaching that to the next generation is another piece of mentorship. And it's hard to put that into academic rigor. But at Babson, we've been doing that, and we're number 10 in the country, according to the Wall Street Journal, out of all colleges, for the basis of the fact that we teach you something that you can use later on. And not a lot of schools are doing that these days, so we're very proud of that. And finally, my last word on education. I've been the chairman of the board of the State Board of Education since 2019 when Governor Baker put me in. Now, when I ran the School Building Authority, I used to go around to all these cities and towns, meet with lovely school committee members, city councilors, mayors, select boards, people that wanted a school built, people that didn't want a school built, people that wanted tax increases, people that didn't want tax increases. And the only thing I would say when I came home to my little office was, thank God I'm not involved in education policy, because I'm only here for the bricks and mortar decision making. Well, now I'm here for the educational policy piece of this. And I can tell you, it's a rough world out there right now, because there's so many conflicting discoveries, and we've gone into this idea of Massachusetts is number 1 in reading and math, but really being number 1 in reading and math in this country came after 30 years of a sustained effort, including the MCAS, right? It also means that 45% of our 4th, 8th, and 10th graders are reading at grade level or proficient at grade level. That's less than half, and that makes us number 1. So it tells you something about the relativity, right? And when you're hiring for your businesses, or when you're looking for the next generation to have critical thinking skills, which are so important with the threats in the world, which I don't need to tell you about, or AI even, which is coming up and will render a lot of jobs that are currently great jobs useless in the future, having critical thinking skills and having the ability to read and write and communicate effectively are more important than ever. So again, it's just a pitch. I hold the business seat on the Board of Education, ironically. And it's just a pitch that, these are things that your attention is needed on, because I never really wanted to be in this fracas with the teachers' unions and other folks about the suitability of going forward with testing on certain skill sets. But what we realize is that instituting sort of the universal test, the MCAS test, is the only thing that's really moved the needle for us, because the idea that people have to do something to get there, and it just can't be every district up to its own definition of what success is. There are 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. There are 389 school districts in Massachusetts, and each one of them can tell you something different about why they're better than the next one in the next door town. And the only universal measurement that we have comes through these measures that the state sort of puts out there. So I'm happy to participate on the panel. Thank you, Joe, for having me, and to Chairman of your board, Mike Sullivan, who invited me originally, and have a great lunch. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Our next speaker is also one of our newest board of directors for the Merrimack Valley, so let's give her a quick hand for that. We're so happy to have her this year. Stephanie Messina Seawade is Executive Vice President and Partner at Luke Jackson Benefits and HR Solutions, with offices in North Andover, Brockton, and Providence. and she brings 35 years of human resource leadership from her former role as a human resource and benefits director for MarketBasket. While with MarketBasket, Stephanie was responsible for compensation, benefits, and payroll administration for the supermarket's 25,000 employees. Stephanie received an MBA in Human Resources Management from the University of Massachusetts Lowell and a BA in Mathematics from Merrimack College in North Andover, Mass. She has her SHRM-CP professional certification from the Society of Human Resource Management. She is a licensed group health, dental, life insurance broker in the state of Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Stephanie serves on the boards of the Merrimack Valley Chamber of Commerce and the Psychological Center of Greater Lawrence. She resides in North Andover with her husband, Vernon, daughter, Gabrielle, and her dog, Oreo. Stephanie?
First of all, I'm honored to be here. I want to thank Mike and I want to thank Joe for giving me this opportunity. So I'm the new one on the panel. Never done this before. So I kind of put my thoughts together on what I was going to say about what my girlfriends call my colorful career, as well as how to help each one of you in business. So yes, I worked for MarketBasket for a lot of years, and at 55 years old, it was time for me, as my girlfriends used to say, to give up that high school job staff and really find a new career. So I took 6 months off, and as my husband, Vernon, would say, "Are you going back to work, Steph?" Really thought, and I think this is the biggest thing, one of the biggest things I want to leave with you today is think about what you're doing. Are you happy? Are you fulfilling the goals? I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I know she doesn't want to be in insurance. She wants to be a broadcast journalist, and I think she will succeed. But I say to her every day when she says, "Well, Mom, what if I live on the West Coast?" Go. This is your journey. Do it. I did my journey. I love insurance. I love HR. I've done it. So I was given a fantastic opportunity 6 months after my soul searching to join my business partner, Jack, and Luke Jackson, Benefits and HR Solutions, Sword. But with any career, whether you're a mother or whether you're not a mother, there's a lot of juggling. You have to learn how to juggle. I had an elderly parent who's gone to heaven. I juggled that. My husband and I adopted, in my 40s, Gabrielle from Russia, and I had a 6-month-old baby. Like Dana, it's a juggling act. I mean, my 40s, older mom, with a 6-month-old bringing her home from Russia without even a car carrier because they didn't use them there. That's the way it was. So you learn to juggle elderly parents, family life, children, non-children, friendships, debts. That's a big one lately, debts. I lost a really good friend 2 weeks ago. But we're all taught as women at childhood, there is a juggling act. Let's see. But remember, you're all capable of keeping those balls in the air. Even when you find that balls keep falling, think about why did they fall? Maybe they weren't supposed to be in the air. Maybe it was time for them to fall and land on the floor. And maybe it's time for you to pick up a different ball and juggle that. You can always rejuvenate yourself, trust me. All right, another thing that Dana mentioned was taking time to heal, taking time to take away from the business or your work life or your family life or your kid calling you as I was walking the beach this weekend, "I think I want a chimpanzee." I said, "Child, there's no chimpanzee coming to North Andover. Get a life. Maybe you should go out drinking more. There is no chimpanzee coming to North Andover." As I'm walking, trying to center myself, that's my life, chimpanzee. She goes, "What about a red-tailed dragon? Do they sell those out there?" I'm like, no chimpanzee, no red-tailed dragon. You'll find that sometimes doors are closed. People will slam doors in your face. And it doesn't necessarily have to come from the opposite sex. It could be other women. That's the hardest for me. I believe that every day you have the ability to help each other, to say a kind word, to make someone say, I really like that person because she's positive. Kindness goes a lot further than anger. And when they close the door in your place, maybe it wasn't supposed to be open. I believe in that also. I came from a Sicilian background, a very Sicilian background, and my mom is in heaven, but she taught me one thing early in life, destiny. Destino, that was her name. Her name was Josephine, but her mantra was Destino. She used to say, what is meant to be will be. So, you know how we all stress hours? Like this morning, like Dana, writing this speech, worried, my team saying, you'll do it, don't worry about it. Destiny. What's meant to be is to be. You may not get that job. You may not get that sale. And I always say, especially with the sales part, do you really want to play in that sandbox? It wasn't meant to be. So when you stress about, does my hair look perfect today? Or did I make sure that, as she said, do we have coffee? We have to go out and get cream to serve our customers. It was meant to be this way. It was written already in the stars. Stand up for your beliefs. They ground you. Definitely, I always say I have a sixth sense, my gut. Go with your gut. You know yourselves. Don't let someone tell you what they think your gut is. Believe in your own gut. 9 times out of 10, if you follow your gut, you will get somewhere. So you made lemonade. That's one of my best sayings. So you made lemonade. So when life gives you lemons, make that lemonade. Life is not a bowl of cherries. And if you get the cherries, make the cherry pie. And the other thing is, and the most important that I would like to leave with you is uplift each other. Make those connections. I just attended the NERA conference down in Newport, and the first speaker talked about connections. And she wrote a book, and I actually got the book signed. And the book talked about, you don't know if that next person sitting on the plane is going to be your next boss. You don't know if that person that's in front of you at Market Basket, looking at you like, oh my God, you bought all those groceries, is going to be the person that's going to connect you to the next sale, or get you your next job, or become that little girl that's standing in line with their mother, be your next babysitter. Make connections. Those connections will never fail you. And yeah, it is a pretty ugly world right there. People look down. If they're not looking down, they're looking at their phones. And they don't make connections. They don't make eye to eye. The eye to eye is the most important thing. And at that conference, one of the things we had to do was, which was kind of funny, I looked at when they told us, was that sitting at tables like this, you had to connect with someone, look at them, and then go introduce yourself to them. So we might want to do that before we leave here today. Someone you don't know, look at that person, look at their eye, and see if that person you can connect with, because you're going outside your box. And lastly, volunteer, make connections through volunteerism. I do it with the Psychological Center. I also do it with the board, which I love Joe having me because I'm his Italian connection. He's trying to get me to plan a trip to Sicily for the Merrimack Valley Chamber. This has been he's told me this now 3 times, so I think he wants me to, stir up the pot. But be your best friend, love yourself, and remember, it's a short life. This is not the dress rehearsal. Do it. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Great words. I think everybody in this room knows the importance of making connections because you're here today. And I'm sure you already know, but I'm just going to take a minute to remind you of all of the programs that the Merrimack Valley Chamber has. If you haven't already, been to a networking event, if this is your first Women in Business event, we have the Next Generation and the Veterans programs. There are so many opportunities for you to connect with the Merrimack Valley Chamber. If anybody has any questions or wants to learn more, please come and talk to me, come and talk to Joe or Mike or Mary Beth, and of course, Dana and Stephanie as well. But we thank you all for being here and hope to see you at all of our programs. Our final panelist today is Claudia Suhu. She is the Chief Operating Officer of the Merrimack Valley YMCA. She is the past president of the Rotary Club of Andover and a member of the North Andover Youth Center Board. She also chairs the National YMCA Asian Pacific Islander Leadership Network, steering the committee. Claudia lives in North Andover with her husband Ben and 2 kids, Callie and Ryan. Let's give her a big hand of applause.
I think Margot might have more to say today, so maybe she can come up with me too. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Claudia Suhu. And as Tricia said, I'm the Chief Operating Officer of the Merrimack Valley YMCA. When I got here today, Michael asked, do you have any questions? And I said, no. And I went and I put my stuff down. And then I went back to the table and I said, yeah, I actually do have a question. How is this going to work today? And he said, well, you're going to have about 5 to 10 minutes to talk, and then there will be questions. And I said, oh, panel, I thought I was just going to have questions. So I did not prepare anything. However, I did a camp counselor to COO presentation this summer, which was 90 minutes long, so buckle up. We will be here for the next 90 minutes. I'm just kidding. So in my introduction, I think the most important thing that Tricia said was that I have 2 children and a partner who, my 2 children are 14 and 10 and a half, because he's at the age where you can't forget the half year. So he's 10 and a half. And my kids remind me that at work, I am 1 letter away from being cool, but at home, I earn the title as a cool mom. So that is a really important piece of my story, that my kids and my family are so important to me, and finding that balance is certainly important. When Joe was talking, he was saying that there's a couple of different ways that women can interface in the business world. They can open their own business. We can take a lateral move to another business, or we can move up in the organization that we're in. And that is really my story. So what I thought I would do today is share a little bit about my story in the Merrimack Valley YMCA, and then just a couple lessons that I've learned over the years. So if you can imagine me, and my mother's not here, I didn't invite her, so don't tell her. She's not here today. But if you can imagine me as a stubborn 4-year-old, and my mother can definitely imagine that. I don't know if anybody else in this room could imagine it. Maybe my colleagues sitting over at this table could. I was a very stubborn 4-year-old, and I went to the preschool at the North Andover YMCA. And every day, my mom would come pick me up. I think it was actually called nursery school back then, and it was only 2 hours long, so I was only gone for 2 hours. But I would have my hands on my hips, ready for the fight, because I wanted something out of the vending machine. And every day, my mother, who is equally as stubborn as I am, and since she's not here, I can say that, although this is being recorded. Yep. So she would fight me on it, and I feel like most of the time I probably did not end up with something out of the vending machine, and I ended up with an apple at home. But that was the start of my career at the Merrimack Valley YMCA as a preschooler. I stayed connected with the Y through my childhood, but my main connection was our summer camp. So I went to Camp Nokomis for girls, which is on an overnight camp on Lake Winnipesaukee, Bear Island. And I was a camp counselor, and I worked there through college, and I went back for that one last summer after I graduated from Penn State University. And I didn't have a job lined up, so I thought, great, one last summer at camp, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And when I was there that summer, the aquatics director job at the Lawrence Y opened up. And the camp director at the time, she eventually retired, and she was there for 63 years, said to me, Claudia, you should really apply for this job. And I looked at her and I said, you can work for the Y full time? And she toured right back to me, what do you think I do? And I said, oh, that makes a lot of sense. And she said, and all the people that taught you how to swim and all of these other things, all your connections to the Y, they all worked full time at the Y too. So needless to say, I applied for the job and I got the job. And I didn't know at the time that I still didn't realize you could have a career in the Y. And so, as I learned more about the Y, I realized that there was a career track, and it doesn't always go in order, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? Sometimes it goes A to Z and then backwards. And so I did learn that everybody who wants to can have a career path at the Y. So after I was the aquatics director, I went to a camp director role, and I was the camp director of Day Camp Otter, and I oversaw youth and teen programming for the association. I was then elevated to senior program director, doing similar work. I eventually became the camp director at Camp Nokomis, taking over for the woman, Debbie Parker, who was there for 63 years, which is a very interesting experience that I could talk about for another 90 minutes if you want. But it was a great learning opportunity, and I was able to work with my mentor growing up for a summer together, which was invaluable for me. So many great lessons there. And after that, I became the executive director of camping services. And then most recently, before being the chief operating officer, I was the senior executive director of the North Andover YMCA. So I've done almost every position that I could possibly do at the Merrimack Valley YMCA, and I've been able to grow and learn and elevate in one organization that I started at when I was 4 years old. So what are some critical skills, pivotal points, learnings that I've had? So when I was the aquatics director, I got a call from a man named Kim Phillips. Kim worked for the YMCA of the USA, which is our national organization, and he identified as Asian Pacific Islander, and he had a scholarship for me called the Fred Hoshiyama Scholarship that allowed me to go to a conference called Principles and Practices. I guess the best way I can describe principles and practices is learning everything about the Y that you possibly can, and at the time it was 7 days, and you had to stay at the hotel that it was at, and you couldn't leave. And so they just gave you every training that they possibly could in that time frame. They've since shortened it quite considerably, but you also got connected with this family group. And in that family group, I realized that there was a career path at the Y. I was with executive directors, I was with chief financial officers, I was with senior program directors, I was with other aquatics directors. So I realized, as I was listening to people's stories, that there was a career path. So that pivotal phone call from Kim Phillips was so important, and that sponsorship that he provided for me. The second piece, I would say, is letting go. I think as women, we often feel like we never can finish what's in front of us, and we hold on because we want to finish it. And that definitely happened to me. So when I went from the camp exec to the senior executive director in Andover, I probably declined the role 3 times before I said, oh yeah, I'll do that, right? And part of it was because I just didn't feel like I was finished what I was doing in camp. And some of it was timing. It was March when we first talked about it, and then eventually, by the time I went over there, it was September 2018. But it was this realization that I talk to my staff all the time that you have to let go sometimes in order to elevate, and I wasn't doing that. And so I had to look in the mirror and say, all right, I might have saying let it go to myself. And if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be in the position that I am today. The other, I think lesson and pivotal point was like all the stretch assignments and goals that either were set for me or I set for myself. I think the achievement piece is so important for sure. I've been part of a group through our national office too, called the Multicultural Leadership Development. And this has definitely been a pivotal point in my career. So I talked about the Fred Hoshiyama Scholarship that allowed me access to training, but I also have been part of a multicultural executive career advancement, and that was for program director staff who really wanted to be executive directors. And then I was part of a multicultural executive development institute. We really like our acronyms in the Y, but I realize I have to say it out. And that was for executive directors who were interested in being in the C-suite. And so as I was thinking about what I was going to say today in the 5 minutes before it started, I have to recognize that those two programs, along with some of the other coaching that they provide, were so important and really opened my eyes up to challenges that I might have, that other women might have, and other people of color might have. The last piece, I think, in terms of critical skills or pivotal points or lessons learned is that fit matters. And I don't just mean fit that you like your supervisor. I happen to, and he's on the board too. So, but I think fit also means how you interface with your job. And I always say that I can give 120% to my family, 120% to my job, and 120% to life. And I know for any of you folks who might be CFOs or in finance, you'll say you can't have more than 100%. But that adds up to 360, and you can't have 360 degrees in a circle. So I'm going to say that I can do that by converting percentages to degrees. So, but I think there's so many pieces that go into fit, and whatever that means for you, that's really important. It might be that you love your colleagues. It might be that you love your supervisor. It might be that you can fit everything that you want to in your life. And I truly believe that I can fit everything that I want to in my life. I have a lot of goals, both personally and professionally, and I work my way through them every day. Sometimes my day is so calculated down by the minute, but that works for me. Maybe not so much for my kids. They don't want to empty the dishwasher when I want them to, but it definitely works for me. So if I had a couple of things that I could encourage the audience to do, the first would be to sponsor women. And I say all women, but I'd also elevate women of color. So there's this great book that's called Forget a Mentor and Find a Sponsor. And I think that everyone should read it, but it really talks about this concept of sponsorship. And so what tables are you at that other women are not at? And how can you elevate people in your life, women in your life? I would reflect on your pivotal points, lesson learned, and critical skill sets. And then if you're comfortable, share those with people. I'm not saying you have to get up here and speak and tell everybody what they are, but it is really powerful when women share with women what they've learned in their lives. And then, finally, I think achieve and advocate. So advocate for yourself. When I learned about some of the opportunities through the Multicultural Leadership Development, it might have been an email that I received, right? And then I had to get support from my organization, so I had to advocate for myself. That was super important. And when I say achieve, I talked about stretch goals and assignments, but also, being a lifelong learner, I think really is important. And something that we all are, and we strive to be, and whatever that means for us, right? Being a lifelong learner. So I think that that's my story, and those are the pieces that I wanted you to hear today. And I will turn it back over to you, Joe. Thank you.
So first of all, I want to say thank you to our speakers. Give them a round of applause. And I am so proud of how our Women in Business series has evolved over the years. When I first got to the Chamber, do you know what the Women in Business program was? Don't get mad at me. I just got there. It was hair and makeup. And I said, I don't think that's what our women members want to be. They want to be successful in their own career. So one of the things that I say to women all the time is be proud of your achievement at whatever level you're at. Because we all start somewhere, Very few of us start at the top. So whatever level you're at, whatever you're doing, whether it be at work or whether it be in volunteering, be proud of that and tell people, because you are very important to every organization. I know you're very important to us at the Chamber of Commerce. We've evolved so many of our programs based upon the needs of women in business. And that's why I encourage you, as you heard about networking, bring someone to a chamber event. You can bring them as a guest and help them make connections, because no one can survive today without connections. And because we're networked throughout the entire Merrimack Valley, all the way into Boston and southern New Hampshire, there's someone along the line that can assist that businesswoman. So encourage them to come and see if they can benefit by being part of the Chamber of Commerce. But be proud of what you've done. And I think the comment that Stephanie made about networking with one another, and you never know who that person is, that's absolutely true. And I'll tell you a quick story, then I'll introduce something. I was chairman of the New England Chamber of Commerce Association, and we were doing a conference in Vermont. This was before I was on my diet. And they had an unbelievable country breakfast, and I had a plate that looked like that. Standing next to me is a person about 6 feet tall in sweatpants and a jogging suit with like fruit. And I said, oh my God, this can't be one of our members. So, but you know me, I talked to everybody, and I started talking to him, and guess who he was? He was our keynote speaker, the governor. And I dissuaded him from telling me why I should eat healthy. But I made a connection. That's what it's all about. It's about connecting. And it doesn't matter what you need, we're going to have a connection for you. And one of the things that I think is so important is knowing people that can help you succeed in whatever you're looking for. And one of the opportunities that we have, as I mentioned, is to provide free business counseling from people that can really make a difference. And this is free from people that know what's happening in the state level. And I want to recognize someone who daily goes about helping women in business. Women who are thinking about starting their business, women who are looking to expand their business, women who are looking to grow a business, and need to know all the different challenges and the opportunities. And she does it quietly. And she and you never know that she's out there helping people, but we know because we schedule her appointments. Please welcome Maria DiStefano from the Mass Office of Business Development. Come down. Well, you have to come down. We want to recognize Maria DiStefano. She is from the Massachusetts Office of Business and Development, and literally has been a tremendous aid to so many women of business throughout the Merrimack Valley. Maria, she did not know about this plaque presentation. We'd like to present this with you. And let me tell you this story. Her husband damaged his ACL.
Yeah.
I had her make sure your husband calls me because she's so worried about her husband. I wanted to make sure she would leave the house because obviously we had this program together. So Michael and I thought this was an important presentation, and this is something, and again, I want to recognize Peter Milano and other representatives from the Mass Office of Business Development. Maria is our contact for our Women in Business program, and please accept this plaque on our behalf. Say a few words. Just say thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. You know, it's funny, I walked in and I saw my boss and my work bestie and in line, and we will usually communicate with each other and let each other know, you know, if we're gonna go to a chamber event, and I was a little surprised. And then this morning, okay, now I know what was going on this morning with my husband. I was a little surprised because he said, "Hun, do you want to wear something a little more colorful today?" Okay, in the 25 years we've been together, that's never come out of his mouth in any way. So thank you. I just want to say thank you so much to the Chamber. My late father always used to say, never be the smartest person in the room because you don't learn anything. I love being in this room because I feel like I learned so much. And it's funny, we were sitting there and you can just, we're in the back, right? So I can see all of you. And as we're talking, as our speakers were talking, everybody's doing this, right? Because you're absolutely, everything's resonating. Certain things are resonating when you're absolutely doing this. So thank you so much.
Was it a surprise?
This was I'm shaking, and it's funny because I'll talk to anybody, right? Peter, you
will.
know, I'll
I
talk
know
to
that.
an empty chair if I get a chance to, right? If I think that they can expand their business in Massachusetts. But
Thank you.
thank you so much.
No, all right.
Thank you.
And Maria is a valuable resource to you. If you're interested in talking with her or speaking with her, just call the chamber office. But I want to recognize someone again. Michael mentioned it. The person that really runs the Chamber of Commerce office on a day-to-day, minute-by-minute basis, Mary Beth O'Reilly. And despite what you believe, nothing happens in the chamber unless we allow, enable, and ask Mary Beth to give approval. Is that right? And we are very, very lucky that she's here with us. I want to say thank you to first to Trish, our moderator, our board member, our committee co-chair. I want to say thank you to Catherine. Catherine and I are going to be doing some programs next year on education, workforce development. Catherine knew that I was a former school committee member for a long time. Now I'm a city council, so those political issues are very, very tough today in terms of, especially in one of our communities that's facing a major tax increase if it goes forward. Dana and I have been, in my family, have been friends for years, along with her husband Sal. Now with the new addition of Margot, I can't wait for Margot to be on the board of directors. I think I'm not sure which direction she'll take. Her husband Sal already has Margot's entire life planned out. Am I right? Dana has a little bit different track. Stephanie, I want to say thank you once again, and thank you so much for the discussion. And Claudia, obviously we love the Y. We want to say thank you for all you do. Your team is here. Give them all a round of applause. And thank you for all of you. The message I want to leave you is this. You are not alone. The Merrimack Valley Chamber is the largest, most successful business development organization in the region, the most awarded. And the reason why is we care about you. I don't care if you're a 1,000-person company, as we have, or a single-person startup. It doesn't matter to us. We're going to be there for you today, tomorrow, and the next day. And we have a network of friends and associates that'll help you move forward. So please take advantage of our Next Generation Leaders program for young people in business. I don't go to it. One of our board members, where is Nancy? Nancy is here somewhere. Karachi is here. Her son told me why she stopped going to our Next Generation Leaders programs, because I was there. I knew exactly what he said to me. I knew exactly. So that's why Michael coordinates it for young people in business, our Women in Business series, our Government Affairs series, our Veterans program. We help veterans and their families and their spouses, man or woman. And the continuation of human resource programs, 2 expo trade shows, so much to connect you, help your business. Margot has said time is up. Stop speaking. Thank you all. And thank you to Bassam at the Phoenician Michaels. Have a great day, everyone.